Hello, welcome to the Trews. This week, Jack Straw had to go on the news to deny that he was corrupt, but the news reporter only wanted to talk about the top of his head.
This is an awkward grey area for you, even if you have done nothing wrong.
No, it's not an awkward grey area for me.
Jack Straw and Sir Malcolm Rifkind thought they were discussing what paid advice they could give a Chinese company, but it was a sting operation.
I'm self-employed, so nobody pays me a salary.
Well, you're a politician, a little bit, so the British taxpayer pays you a salary. I mean, nobody important.
I have to earn my income, but when I'm not doing something, I can do what I like.
I can do what I like. I can accept money from a Chinese business firm. I can use patronising body language.
Obviously, there's, if we get down the track, there's the issue of what fee you had in mind.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
Well, actually, it'd be good to, I don't know if you have a kind of daily rate in mind.
I mean, normally, if I'm doing a speech or something, it's £5,000 a day. That's what I charge.
Jack Straw there, clearly feeling a pang of guilt when he made up the £5,000. I mean, normally if I'm doing a speech or something, people want to listen to me and how I, might do a war for no real reason and sneak away. That's £5,000. And you can sleep at night, can you, Jack? Just about.
So have the men broken any rules? Well, MPs are prohibited from taking money to speak or vote in the Commons, but they are allowed to be paid for outside interests as a company director, consultant or advisor.
I think it's more of a problem if they're not doing something illegal, because that indicates that there's a systemic problem that might be creating a disengagement from politics on a mass level. People thinking, well, what's the point of me voting for any of these people when whether you vote for Rifkind or Straw or Blue or Red, what you're going to end up with is some corrupt bloke in Parliament on the blag.
Any earnings, though, must be declared in the register of members' interests.
In his own defence, Rifkind said, it's quite unrealistic to believe that MPs will go through their parliamentary career being able to simply accept a salary of £60,000 a year. That's double the national average wage.
Some have even suggested all this has security implications because Sir Malcolm Rifkind chairs the Parliamentary Committee which oversees Britain's intelligence agencies.
Well, that's not at all worrying that Malcolm Rifkind is in charge of national security agencies. Hey, we need to be able to spy into all of your private business affairs to see exactly what you're up to. What are you up to? Mind your own business. Are you accepting money from Chinese business firms? So what if I am?
But he insists he's got nothing to be embarrassed about.
Clearly not, because it seems that you are unembarrassable.
Of course I have a salary as an MP, but in terms of my business interests, I don't receive salaries. I get paid for the work I provide for individual companies.
Well, let's just talk about what the word salary means there, Malcolm. Oh, good, it wasn't a salary. It was more of a bung, a bribe, skullduggery, tomfoolery, corruption. Not a salary. That's a dirty word.
Today, Mr. Straw came out fighting.
I've complied with not just the letter, but the spirit of all the rules. And this interview with as it turned out, a bogus company set up by Channel 4.
How dare you? How dare you trick me into revealing that I'm a corrupt liar? You can't be outraged by that. You can't use that one. Oh, what? So you put a private detective on me to find out whether I was having an affair or not? Yes. And you were. Yeah, but the private detective,
Was not to do with my work as a Member of Parliament. It was to do with whether I would work for them after I had retired.
I meant after I'd retired. I meant I would accept the money and then I'd give that money to a little boy to help him.
Sir Malcolm Rifkind and Jack Straw may not have broken any rules, but this has raised again the issue of whether an MP should be allowed to do outside work while they're sitting as a member of the Commons.
Well, let's wrap this issue up. No.
Steps have been taken to increase transparency so voters know what MPs earn and, crucially, who's paying them.
I mean, Jack Straw there is claiming he's done nothing wrong, already has a job working for the dictatorial government of Kazakhstan. Other MPs declared earnings of more than 7.4 million for outside work and second jobs. This is why we don't trust politicians. This is why we don't vote for them.
We've got to settle this issue of second jobs once and for all, so we remove any suspicion that MPs are working not for their constituents' interests, but someone else's interests.
Yeah, we've got to get rid of that suspicion. There's this weird suspicion that parliamentary politics is pointless. There's this weird suspicion that you can't trust any of them. There's this weird suspicion that the whole thing's a ludicrous spectacle where the people in that bizarre building operate on behalf of big business and ignore the population that they were elected to represent. It's a weird suspicion that keeps going on because it's true.
What I see from the Labour proposal is actually not outlawing outside business or interests, but putting a new set of rules which would, for instance, allow someone to work as a trade union official but wouldn't allow someone to run a family shop. And I think that doesn't make sense.
No, you don't want people not being able to run a family shop. Like, you know, I know these people that run this family shop called HSBC. We certainly want to get in the way of their family business interests. George Osborne, Chancellor of the Exchequer, says he shouldn't get involved in the HSBC situation. He said, I don't think it'll be right, and actually when you pause to think about it, most people would agree, I don't think it'll be right for a Chancellor of the Exchequer to direct prosecutions against individuals or individual companies. You're the Chancellor, the boss of, the Exchequer. Money stuff. HSBC is a bit involved with money stuff. Is that your jurisdiction? I don't think I should get involved. And if you, what's this bit? If you pause to think about it, let's try that. I still disagree! I disagree more!
This episode adds to the suspicion of some voters that MPs are in it for their own personal gain rather than to serve their communities.
It's not suspicion, it's empirically proven facts that keep smashing us in the face like a frying pan made of injustice and robbed money every single day of our life. Ugh.
But the Prime Minister says Parliament can be enriched by MPs having outside interests as long as they obey the rules.
At least there is consistency of judgment, like whether you're a high-flying banker ripping off the economy or a lowly benefit cheat getting a few pennies to stave off starvation. Oh no, there's not. George Osborne announced crackdowns on benefit cheats, comparing them to muggers, robbing taxpayers of their hard-earned money. This is a fight, he said. We're really going to go after welfare cheats. Yeah, because they're poor and powerless. Frankly, a welfare cheat is no different from someone who comes up and robs you in the street. Except they don't come up to you in the street or rob you, and they're at home being basically really poor. This money is paid for our taxes, which is meant to be going to the most vulnerable in our society, not to the pockets of criminals. Are you taking the actual piss, George? Why don't you start fighting people with power like HSBC? Oh, that's none of my business, not as man who's in charge of all the money. And if you pause to think about it, you'll agree.
We've capped benefits, we've cut immigration by a third. No one will get something for nothing.
So, as Miliband and Cameron and Labour and across the world as political parties try to rally us and to get our interests, it's so difficult to be inspired by politics, to want to participate in politics when it becomes so clear that whatever side you vote for, you're voting for a corrupt liar. That is some true news. Subscribe here.
Nose is a tool that is abused to fool you and to leave you scared and confused. Trews is like the nose. If the nose was true, I want some Trews. Let's have some Trews.